time to start the main event. With its multiple challenges to the status quo, the propane industry faces a need for the power of mentorship. Mentorship is undeniably powerful as it builds confidence and encourages us to embrace leadership and aim for higher achievements. We're going to hear a mentoring story from two remarkable executives and then discuss 3 questions related to mentoring at your table. Our first mentoring story comes from Angela John, who is the Vice President of Natural Gas Liquids and Sulfur with BP Energy Company. Angela's been with BP for more than 20 years, including 18 years commercial experience in chemicals, refining oil, natural gas, and NGLs. She has been leading marketing, trading, and optimization teams within the BP Energy since 2006, and is the founding executive sponsor of BP Energy's Women's Leadership Group, which is aimed at encouraging women to pursue commercial leadership positions. Prior to her most recent appointment, Angela served as Vice President of several NGL and natural gas businesses. Her previous accountabilities include natural gas and crude oil trading, as well as engineering and supply chain optimization roles within Amoco Chemicals. Please join me in welcoming Angela John.
Is this a final one? Does this work? Oh, it's over there. Let's see if this works. Because I do like walking around that. Does this work? May not do video.
Oh, try again.
You might have, Hello?
Turn it off.
Yes, just needed a moment, right? Okay, well, I can ditch my first page here because I think you covered everything about my background that I wanted to share. I am really proud to work for a company that supports women in diversity in all aspects of our business. And then we have also set very specific gender goals, so I appreciate what Allison had said about that. It's something that BP was very reluctant to do, to set those specific public goals about women at different levels of leadership until just a few years ago. And you know, I've really found that it's accelerated the progress and the conversation of the company once we were brave enough to do that. So when I look across my career, I have been a mentee once, and I've been a mentor to over 20 people across the organization at different stages of my career. The last one, this is not working, maybe I'll come back over here. So my first experience with mentoring was when I was working in Chicago, and they paired me with a senior leader in another company, very much like the Women in Propane initiative that we put up, that we just started. Her name was Heather, and she was a role model to me. And that was really important, to see somebody in leadership who acted like me and kind of had the same kind of personality and, you know, outlook on life that I had. But what she brought was a very different perspective. And that is the whole key to mentoring that is really important. She taught me the value of political capital, and even the little tips around political capital, like looking at org charts of different organizations and figuring out who in that organization can make a difference to the things that you're trying to achieve at the company. Since then, I've mentored folks across the organization, most in one-to-one relationships. Our most recent experience with experiment, I would say, with mentoring is a 2 to 8, where they paired me with a senior man in the company, and we mentored 8 folks. The first group were 8 women. The second group we've done is now mixed groups. And it's really an effort to try to reach more people in the company because it was really difficult to get as much traction as we wanted in those one-to-one relationships. But what we've definitely found is that it's a different conversation in a group than what you can experience one-on-one. So I think both types are appropriate, and it probably just depends on where you are and the time commitment you can make in your life as to which one works. But in reflection on all of the mentoring experiences I've had, there are a few things that I've thought that I would share with you, the key themes that kind of came from those relationships. The first one is a little encouragement goes a long way, particularly when I'm mentoring women. And I think it's really interesting. I hear a lot of people say, a lot of women lack self-confidence, lack the courage to try out for new things. I actually don't think that's true at all. I think it takes a lot of courage to be one of the few women in an industry like this. And all of you in this room, it took you a lot of courage probably to walk into some of the networking events that you've been to. Because you walk in and you may not know anybody, you don't recognize faces. And that may be part of the power of these kind of events, is now you can look around and say, oh, I recognize Nancy, I'll walk over and talk to her for a while. And we kind of balance on each other for a moment before we walk off and do everything else that we need to do to get our business done at that meeting. Wayne Gretzky said, and I'm not really a sports fan, but this one is just too good. You miss 100% of the shots that you never take. And I feel that, it is proven that women try out for fewer jobs. For whatever reason, we believe we need to be 100% qualified, where men will apply for jobs they're only 60% qualified for. But part of that reason is that women they are picked 3 times less than men when they apply for leadership positions. Now, a lot of this, there's a lot of research on it, and I could spend hours talking to you about all the theories. There's a lot of social pushback, and women are seen as less liked when they go into leadership in a lot of ways, where men actually are often seen as more liked when they go into leadership. So this may be one of the reasons. We also tend to underestimate our ability, and men underestimate our ability, as seen in the blind resume study. So the blind study is with the violinist playing behind the screen when they know their names. They're rated differently often. So we've given women a lot of reason to not take all those shots. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of encouragement from a mentor to get them in motion again and to try out and to know that it's okay to fail. So, the next thing that I wanted to share is that you can change your mind. And I know the speaker just at the leadership conference and things, it's better to be successful than right, it's better to be happy than right. And I think sometimes people, and particularly women again, are afraid that they might change their mind later. Well, maybe I want that today, but what if in 3 years I decide I don't want it? Well, in 3 years, change your mind. And that's something that trading has taught me a lot about as well. If you're in a trading organization, if you're making a trade, you have to look at the facts that you have in front of you, have a view, and then take action that supports that view. And then as soon as something disproves your view, you take action to change the action that you took before. And that's the same with everything in life. Go ahead, make the decision, take some action based on your view today, and then it's okay when you learn something different or something else happens in the world to change your mind. And really you should, because the world changes. So don't feel like you're stuck. You can say you want to be president of whatever organization today, and then tomorrow say, well, no, now that I know what that's about, I would rather do this other thing. It's okay. It's better to be successful than right. The third thing is have the courage to be a little different, because that's where your value is. In particular, when we're talking about men and women, women aren't smarter than men. Men aren't smarter than women. Women don't make better business decisions than men when you have all the facts. But we do make different ones because we have a different perspective. We've been treated differently. We've seen different things. That is the value. And it's not just gender differences. It's differences in where you've lived in your life, where you went to school, what you studied. All of that is what makes you unique. And so have the courage to be a little bit different. And I know all the women in the room you do, because you're showing up here somewhere where you are a little different than most people in the room. Thank goodness we're different than all the zombies down the street. I was having fun trying to pick where people were going between the two conferences. But have the courage and really take the power that comes in your differences. And that's a beautiful thing about mentorship, is that you get to explore in a special relationship with someone who has the intention of developing you. You get to explore those differences. And that's the job of the mentor, is to teach the mentee how to see things just a little differently. But the mentee also shares back to the mentor how to look at things differently. And the power of those two views of the same thing is the beauty of the whole message that we want to achieve here at Women in Propane. So that's all I had.
Thank you, Angela, well said. Our second mentoring story comes from Mike Hopsicker, who is the president and CEO of Rainbury Incorporated, or RMI. Prior to joining RMI in 2005, Mike served in several senior leadership roles for Agway Incorporated. Early in his career, Mike experienced the benefit of mentoring firsthand, having worked closely with senior executives and earning key opportunities to grow and make a significant impact in business. Today, as a business owner focused on growth and making profits, he values the chance to pay that mentoring forward through his industry and community involvement. Mike currently serves on the board of directors of the National Propane Gas Association and is the New York Gas Association president this year. Please join me in welcoming Mike Hopsicker.
Thank you. And Angela, great job.
Thank you. We'll high five after.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm humbled and honored to be invited to participate in this session. Duly humbled after Nancy, when she asked me to participate and tell my story, she said, well, you know, Mike, the original person we wanted to ask couldn't show up. So. But I was glad to do it, Nancy.
I tell the truth.
That's all right. Gotta have a good backup plan, always. So, you know, she asked me if I'd share my story and talk about mentorship, and I was very happy to do it because I've had a variety of mentors over my career. And so since 2005, I've been fortunate to be a partner with Ray Murray and president and CEO of the company. And he's been one of my best mentors, and he's showing great mentorship now by coming down and supporting me here with this presentation. So thank you, Ray, for that. But before our RMI, I actually started in a position with Hopsicker in manufacturing management, and that was a great experience. And I enjoyed a 15-year career with Agway, as she mentioned, and had many mentors there. And I'll tell a little bit of a story about it, but I was fortunate to be named the president of a $600 million company at the age of 31, and that was quite an interesting experience. And then I became CEO of the whole company at age 38. So you don't do that with really good mentorship, without good mentorship. But I thought I'd start my story with my first mentor, and that was my mom. And you know, I grew up in a middle-class family, loving parents, and my dad was an outstanding, wonderful guy, still a hero of mine. But I'll have to admit, and I always tell this to people, it was my mom who really, I think, had a greater influence over me. My mom is going to be 80, and she's a sweet little thing, and you know, she can talk up anybody. I mean, I don't care where you are at the grocery store or whatever. She's just a wonderful person to talk to. But she didn't go to college. And in fact, she tells a story about how she's the second oldest of six brothers and sisters. Her older brother got to go to college. And she pleaded at the dinner table one time with her father to let her go to college. And he said, no, women don't go to college. That was my mom. I mean, think about that. That's a scary story. But my grandfather was a great guy, so please don't hold it. But she was valedictorian of her class, and she stayed home to raise her 3 kids. But while she did that, she was an entrepreneur. She started a couple of businesses. Now, many of you might be entrepreneurs, so what she did might not sound great, but for me, it was an excellent learning lesson. When her first business was a consignment shop. So out of our home, I remember as a little kid, the racks of clothing and kids' toys and stuff that she would take in and sell on consignment. And she was very successful with that business. And then we moved, and for my father got transferred, and we moved, and she assessed the market, said that it wasn't the right market for a consignment shop, so she started a nursery school in our basement. And that was actually a lot of fun because we had paints and toys and books and, right in our basement. And the name of her nursery school was No Fooling, We Have Fun. And it was, it's a great nursery school. So, and that was very successful. And it got so successful to the point where we actually came under state regulations and either had to move it out of the house or, we had to do a lot of things in the house. So she decided to take another direction and ran for the school board and spent 10 years on the school board and was president for a couple of years. So my mom taught me a couple of things. She taught me competitive spirit, and I think she's where I got my drive. And because she definitely had it. The next story I want to tell, and I will get to the career, but was actually in college. And when I went to college, two buddies of mine, they were fraternity brothers, and Greg Chepkowski and Mark Weinstein, and they were a couple years older, and they were pursuing their Master of Engineering and their MBA while I was an undergrad. Now, I'm sorry to admit this, but I was probably not the best student that Cornell ever graduated, but I would have been a lot worse if it weren't for Chappenstein. And because these guys were great people to emulate. They were, motivated. They knew what they wanted to do, and they tutored me. They helped, help me with my resume. They helped me with, job interviewing. They did all kinds of things. And I guess the lesson, they've both been very successful in their own right, but they've helped me more than they, I think, ever know. Because I went and got an MBA because, I followed in their footsteps. And the lesson on mentorship there is, it doesn't have to be formal. We were just a bunch of friends, and they were helping us out. They were helping me out. And I tell my kids this all the time. I say, I've got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, and I say, find friends that you'll be proud to emulate, okay? Because, if you find friends you'll be proud to emulate, you're going to learn and grow. So I think that's an important lesson. All right. One of the things I got from my mom is she gets very emotional, and so do I. So. Okay, now on to Agway. So I did enjoy a great career. I got very fond memories of my career at Agway. Agway was a large farm cooperative. It was a Fortune 500 company when I got there. It was involved in a lot of things. But in the Northeast, farming was declining, and it was very highly leveraged. It was very diversified in a lot of things, and frankly, didn't make a lot of money. So as a young guy coming in, I started in finance, and I had many different mentors that taught me a lot of things, but one in particular was in a position to give me assignments that helped me develop and grow. And that's what it's all about. And so in finance, we had a leasing company that was borrowing money all the time and relending it and making the spread. And he gave me my first real assignment was basically in charge of all the financing for the leasing company. So that taught me quite a bit. And then he would send me into different re-engineering projects. Re-engineering was the big buzzword back then, and into different divisions and basically special project type assignments. And then anybody here from New England? Couple. H.P. Hood, you know that name? Agway owned H.P. Hood. It was one of its investments that wasn't really making a lot of money. And my first operating assignment was to head to Boston, and I lived in the Cambridge Marriott for over a year, and basically helped restructure and sell that. So that was an interesting experience. But through all those assignments, and this is an interesting mentoring technique, never once did he force me to fill out reports or report on it. In fact, he gave me very little leadership without my asking. But he was always available for me when I needed it. And I asked him a lot. Okay, one of the things of being successful is know when you need help and ask for it. So, so I think that's an interesting lesson in mentorship, at least from my perspective, is the mentor-mentee relationship needs to be driven by the mentee. okay? The mentor needs to make themselves available to help, but the mentee needs to drive the agenda, okay? And that's what I've learned. So he was also one of the guys who put me in charge of agri-energy products at the age of 31. And of course, at that time, I thought I knew everything, and you know, right? And obviously, I did. And what I learned was that I had to rely on my staff. And what I also learned is my staff mentored me. Okay, and they had to. I didn't know much about the business. I was certainly learning as we go. But the thing I'm most proud about in my agri career is the team that we built at Agri-Energy Products. We were a $600 million company. We were number 8 on the top 50 propane marketers list. We only operated in about 4 states, so we were certainly number 1 in market share in that area. We were much larger on the heating oil, diesel, and gasoline side of things. And we grew the business from $600 million to $800 million over a few year period. And it was a very exciting time. But my team taught me more than I ever taught them. And so I guess my lesson there is the difference between a mentor and a mentee is very small. And you can be it at the same time. And so that's a learning that I had. And you know, the other thing that I'm very proud of is many people on that agri team have really gone on to have very successful careers outside of agri. And I can name a few that are here. Kirk Wright with Pro Image. He's been a perennial speaker at these events. Mike Meath, anybody know that name? With Strategic Communications, was an outstanding guy. And the list can go on and on and on, but it's very satisfying to watch these people who I helped mentor, but they mentored me at the same time, you know, really achieve success. And that brings me to Ray Murray. Now, I met Ray in 1996 at an NPGA board meeting. And obviously, we were a big customer of Ray's, so he had an interest in meeting me, but it was more than that, because a young 30-something board member of NPGA, he put his arm around me and showed me the ropes and shepherded me around the industry and was very patient with me on the golf course. Because I'm not a good golfer. But we developed a friendship that stuck. And 10 years later, when I joined the company, I was obviously a little bit more seasoned CEO. But Ray mentored me in understanding the distribution business, understanding how to develop customer relationships, how to make friends in the industry. And anybody that knows Ray knows that just watching him operate is just outstanding, a great experience. And he is certainly one of those people that you are proud to emulate. So one of the things I've learned, though, is that I'm never going to be Ray. Okay? He set the bar very high. But what I can do at Ray Murray is I can continue to build on what he started and build the best team in the industry. And that's what I'm trying to do, is assemble the best and most talented team in the industry. And in that case, we've been very successful. I got very outstanding people that work with me, and I learn from them every day. Hopefully I help them a little bit too. But it's a very rewarding experience, and I thank Ray for giving me that opportunity. So in closing, a couple of points. Mentorship doesn't have to be formal, okay? You just need to seek it out. And that's related to the second thing, which is the mentor-mentee relationship, in my opinion, needs to be driven by the mentee, okay? The mentee needs to set the agenda. The mentor has to make themselves available to help. And the difference between being a mentor and a mentee is very small, and it can happen at the same time. So while I'll try to be a mentor to many people, I'm being a mentee all the time. And that's my story, and I thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Mike, for your stories and lessons learned. Good stuff. Okay, now it's time for discussion at your table. We're going to continue the conversation about mentoring. So what I'm going to do is pose a question to you at your table, and I'll give you 8 minutes to discuss it amongst your group. And what I want you to do is point someone at your table to be a scribe. There are flip charts all around the room, so grab a flip chart, pull it close to your table. You're going to capture your best thoughts on that flip chart. When the 8 minutes is up, I want to make sure you have someone pointed as a spokesperson from your table. So someone will have to get up and talk in front of the group. And that person is then going to share their top 2 or 3 best ideas from your discussion at your table with the rest of the group here. What questions do you have about the process? Does everybody understand it? Okay, here's question number 1 with a little bit of explanation. In February of 2015, the Gallup organization reported that the average engagement rate for U.S. employees had reached a 3-year high of 32%. Only 32% of employees in the U.S. are engaged at work. The Gallup organization defines engaged employees as those who are involved in, enthusiastic about, and committed to their work and the workplace. So here's your question. Can mentoring play a role in improving employee engagement in the workplace? Discuss.